Sports Entertainment Network. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and as always, leave a comment, and thank you for enjoying the video.
Shot to right, slicing toward the pesky pole, down the line, and it's going to be out of here! Line down the right field line toward the pesky pole, leaping up, and that ball is gone! That's a home run! A lot of our Nesson team as well. High fly down the right field line, headed toward the pesky pole, that one tucked in, and that ball is going to be against the wall, and into second base. Number retired, and now Rafael Devers trying to retire that baseball inside the pesky pole.
Welcome to another episode of the Pesky Podcast, brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Ritt. With me is the OG George Sutherland, and we got a good friend of ours. We've got from Our Bleepin City, Mikey2Gunz. So let's start with you, Mikey. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, other than the Red Sox kind of roller coaster of emotion of offseason, I'm doing fantastic, man. One of the best parts about coming on the podcast is seeing that intro. I love those pesky Paul highlights, man. Gets me every time. But yeah, hey, I'm doing good. Hoping the Sox can give us something more to talk about this offseason. Since the last time I've been here, I'm still doing my show, Our Bleepin City. It's been going great. It's been taking off. I'm kind of like some of these guys in MLB. I'm a free agent, doing that independent thing at the moment. But it's great. It's great to be back here with you guys, talking with you guys. I was picking your brain the other day on the phone about the Sox off season, and you know what? And I guess I thank you, because you made me feel a little bit more positive, because I was a little bit. I've been a little, like a lot of my fellow fans, I've been a little down on them. But I'm sure we'll hear that from you tonight. Some of the things that you had been saying about your vision of what you think they're going to do. Yeah, glad to be here with you and your fantastic co-host George. I'm excited for the season.
Yeah, I loved our phone call we had the other day. Just talking Red Sox, talking about what's been going on, talk about what could be going on. Some merchandising strategy there too. You are
the T-shirt king.
But George, what's been going on with you, man? How you doing?
Oh, really good. Yeah, doing fine. Everything is good. Waiting for the next shoe to drop for Red Sox postseason. This has been so bizarre. I mean, everything is just moving at like a snail's pace, and it's not just us; it's everybody else. I mean, I'm sure other fan bases are equally perplexed as to why the team isn't doing anything. But my goodness, this is just like the world's worst, moving at glacier speed.
Man, it's crazy. I was sitting there listening to IPM podcast. I love listening to Joey Capone and Steve Peralt. And man, like Joey asked Steve where the Red Sox ranked on free agent spending, and I was thinking, really low, but we actually are ranked 9th so far in off-season spending, with the Giolito signing, and a lot of other teams are just not really signing anybody yet. A lot of things could be possibly we're going to drag it out as long as we can to try to get the cheapest deal with some of the guys. And I kind of hope that's where, we possibly could get a starting pitcher where, we just draw this out and hopefully, that's how we get. But man, it's just the contracts. We were talking on the Pesky Party Hour, Leslie, Mike, and myself, and the contract structures for some of these contracts this offseason are ridiculous. We've got, Shohei's $660 deferred money. Imanaga. Like, okay, we're gonna pay
What
you
was
two at 30, and then we could sit there and make it elevated to 5 for 80, and it's like, what's going on, man? Like, it's really crazy to see these, and then we see Teoscar, sign that 1 year
1 year deal.
like and it's funny, he went over there to waste a year that he could have went somewhere else because the Dodgers aren't going nowhere. They can sign the world, but they ain't winning the series. I think the Braves can easily shut them down in a 7-game series. So, but man, it's crazy. The contracts, the signings. Mikey, what are you thinking so far with the off season? How it's kind of quiet, but it's when it is noise, it's crazy.
This has been one of the most unpredictable and just like out of left field off seasons for me. You think things are going to happen a certain way. And as a Sox fan, you get your hopes up about certain guys, and it's basically just been the Dodgers this offseason. It's just the Dodgers. This is just the Dodgers offseason. Like, let's take every major free agent that teams might target as their number one, and let's not try to pick one or two of them. Let's just sign all of them. So, and the contracts too. Like, I don't know if it was just it must have just all been just a pipe dream on my end. I thought the Sox had a realistic chance at Shohei, and he was rumored to really like Fenway, one of his favorite parks, to have a good relationship with Yoshi, and then the Dodgers came in and blew. Makes Alex Rodriguez contract, that one with the Texas back in the day, seem like bargain basement with a $700 million Powerball lottery contract that's going to be like Bobby Bonilla's, deferred till 2060, $70 million a year. Just crazy money being spent by the Dodgers with all the big names. Like, I thought maybe we had a chance at Shohei. We also heard Teoscar,
Yamamoto.
Every guy had been maybe linked to the Red Sox. The Dodgers are just sweet. Have really killed a lot of my offseason dreams. And you had just said about the free agent spending with the Red Sox being 9th. It made me realize, the Red Sox haven't done, that much in my eyes because I had my hopes up. But there hasn't been, you haven't heard much from any of the other teams. I mean, the Yankees did a few little, the Soto and then, traded for Duke, but I don't hear much for, you don't think like, oh, the Indians got this guy, or, the Giants. There hasn't been many big splashes by any of the teams. So
there's still a whole bunch out there. Bellinger, Snell, Montgomery, the third baseman, George, help me out here.
Oh shoot, I just had that up too. I all
he played for Toronto last year.
I'm trying.
Yeah, of course.
And it's crazy. It's crazy that I actually blanked on him because Mikey and I were just talking about him the other day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's there's a lot of big names still out there, and no one else is spending really either. So, it's odd to sit there and see that we're 9th with only one really big signing, but then that just shows how much of a slow off season this actually is for the whole league. So, George, what are your thoughts so far on the whole off season, slow and steady?
the winter meetings were really a sign of things to come. Nothing happened, and it's been like a slow drip, right? A little bit here. First Shohei, then Yamamoto. Oh, all the Yankees stepped in before that, and they traded for Soto. Now they just ponied up $31 million to, for this year. It's just, my God, it's been so boring. I mean, that's just the sad part of it. But the other thing is, if you take a look at these contracts, and we talked about it, before, and just a couple of minutes ago, Shohei taking all that deferred money, and then you take a look at Imanaga's contract. It's like you need a secret decoder ring to figure out what the heck happened there. I mean, it's like, what are they doing? Are they smoking something in the back room and say, hey, let's go up with something really different here. Why don't we do this? Right? I mean, that's what it sounds like. Are they just going to throw darts at the wall going, hey, how about we try this? I mean, the Shohei thing, there's nothing that prevents them from doing it, but I look for 29 other owners to take a look at this and try to, curb that down the road. I mean, that, and I talked about it before. I mean, that's just like why didn't you guys think of it earlier? No, everybody didn't think anybody would cross that line. Well, they did. They're trying to buy a championship, right? The question is, who's next?
I want to say MLB really has got to rethink the rules on that, because it seems like a clear circumvention. They're circumventing the salary cap, and as me and Josh had discussed the other day, on the surface it looked like Shohei was doing the Dodgers a huge favor, but Shohei is actually going to make more when he gets that money, because he won't be in California anymore with that high income tax. So that's almost an added plus for the player if a team can offer to defer it, and then the team can, as me and Josh had discussed, can bank that money, gain interest on it. They can make money. MLB, they got to do something about that. Like, that just seems it seems like they've exploited a huge flaw in the agreement there, and boy, have they ever exploited it. So,
yep.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to say that part. That part had been bugging me.
No. One thing is, it's like, should MLB have a cap for deferment? If teams are going to start going that way, there should be a cap for amount of deferred salary that you can cap. Now, George, Mikey and I was talking about a trade that was supposed to happen a while ago with Alex Rodriguez, supposed to have been going to the Red Sox. Some salaries, were getting deferred and mixed around, and MLB stepped in.
Exactly.
And said nope. We can't be doing that. And then he goes to the Yankees.
Right.
It is crazy. Why wouldn't MLB step in for this? Like, the man's making $2 million a year, deferring $660 million. No, $680 million. Like,
it's the problem is that there's no prohibition against it. All right. There's absolutely nothing spelled out. Okay, you're authorized to defer money. Happens in contracts all the time. The Bobby Bonilla thing is the biggest joke of all. But to his credit, he got two other teams to go along and do that as well. So it's good to be Bobby. But there's no prohibition. There's no fence around, right? So teams can get creative. But I think, as I said before, nobody thought that anybody would go to that extent, right? In a $700 million contract, if you'd think, all right, maybe they want to defer a couple of $100 million, right? 50 up front, 500 up front, 200 deferred. I don't think the fans of any other baseball team would have went, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? But when you're taking $2 million, right, on a 10-year contract that's supposed to pay out 70, there's something wrong with that. But you're right. I think something's going to happen. Now, MLB created this mess, and as we all know, MLB can be stupid at times. So the fix may be worse than what's wrong. So, you can expect something like that to happen.
Like, if you think about it, and this will be the last time, we talk about Shohei's contract for a while, but if $45 million is going against their books, then why not just defer the other $25 million per season? If 45 counts against your books regardless, if he's only getting paid $2 million, why not just defer $250 million instead of $680 million? So, but earlier today we went and threw out some questions. We threw out, the fans asked the questions, and we got some great questions. So we're gonna be taking some time and going through what you guys, the fans, want to go over. So, first question is from one of our other guests, Ballpark Buzz. Is the current catching tandem enough? Okay. So, George, let's start off with you. Do you think with the catching tandem we have right now of McGuire and Connor Wong, because McGuire and the Red Sox agreed on arbitration, so we are stuck with Reese McGuire for another season. Do you sit there and think that catching tandem would be enough to hold us out throughout the whole season?
No, I'm not a huge Reese McGuire fan at all. I kind of wish they had parted ways with him. We talked about. I wanted Mitch Garver. I thought that would have been a smart pickup. Good bat, can catch, can play some DH, do a couple of other things for you. But sorry, he's got to go. They signed Perez as a good defensive catcher. Whether or not he sticks, I think he's got a better chance to stick than Jorge Alfaro did at the end of camp last year. But they could use a good veteran catcher behind the plate, and at least till Teal is ready. Teal's, if Teal comes up, it'll be the end of the season, and probably 25 is when you're going to see him, probably split time. So they need a catcher in the worst way, and if I have my vote, he wouldn't be on the team right now. So,
okay, Mikey, what are your thoughts on? Is the current catching tandem going to be enough for Boston?
I'm with you, George. Let me say unequivocally, absolutely, heck no. Reese McGuire, he may be a great guy, nice guy, but if you're going to have a catcher that's completely lacking of power or hitting, at least have him be this like Christian Vasquez type defensive, presence. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't really do either end exceptionally well at all. He's at best average. He hits for zero power. Average is not great. Defense is just very ordinary.
At best.
It's it was crazy, like seeing. You don't usually see a player with the number 0 on the home run total for so long into the season. And the one thing that sticks out with me is seeing him. When is he going to hit his first home run? Like it's crazy how little production he gives us offensively. And I'd heard rumors of the Sox going after that guy from Houston. Was it Maldonado for a while? I don't know if he re-signed with someone. I mean, even hit, that guy looks like he's got cinder blocks on his legs when he's running, but at least he hits for a little power, and he's great with the pitchers. I would have liked to see some sort of upgrade like that. I mean, Connor Wong is a great defensive catcher, but he too is got a really light bat, and I mean, you got to get something out of the in this day and age of especially the American League East, which is just such a juggernaut. You got to get some offensive production from the catcher. We pretty much have nothing. It's almost like a National League player where the pitcher is the automatic out. It's almost to that point with these guys.
Yeah, I'm a little more worried with our catching position in the overall department. We only have 2 catchers on our 40-man roster at all. It's Wong and McGuire. If one of them goes down, who's the next one up? Last year we seen Caleb Hamilton come up a little bit, and he is no longer with the team. So who is that next person? George brought up Perez, that we signed. He could be the next guy. I'm throwing out there. I have heard nothing but good things about this kid, and from Alex Hoppe, CT, Theo Denlinger, Hunter Dobbins, a whole bunch of guys that we talked to and interviewed. I would sit there and say in spring training, look out for Nathan Hickey. That is a name. He went out to the Arizona Fall League. He did really well out there. He has respect by his peers that he plays with. He's got a spring training invite. He's also got an invite to winter weekend too. So he's a guy that the Red Sox want to see more from, see what he's got, and I can see him coming out being the next guy up to get called up if needed on the roster. So
he swings a great bat too. I mean, he does. I mean, I saw him launch one in Portland. He can, and he drives in runs. He's one of those guys that when the situation comes up, he hits. But yeah, he's definitely good bat. Is doing better and better defensively. I mean, we've had, like I said, Hoppe and CT talk about him and say he's good. They like throwing to him. So, there's, they were, and their praise was high. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. And no, he's a good catcher. Is he going to be a Kyle Teal type? No, but for right now, he could be what you need coming in off the bench. It's certainly better than what Reese McGuire is going to give you.
Yeah, just last year, he was with 2 teams, Greenville and Portland. In Greenville, he batted .294 with 4 home runs, and then because he wasn't down there very long. Right shortly before Hunter Dobbins got, I think Hickey went up, and then Dobbins went after. But when he went to Portland, he had 15 home runs, 56 RBIs, 335 plate appearances. His batting average went down to .258, but that's noted when you're moving up. You're seeing a little bit better quality pitcher too. Like his OPS was 991. His on base percentage was .402. So, like he's a young kid that is, and if I ever see him and he ever hears this, he's probably gonna get tired of me calling him a young kid. But like it's just something that I have heard nothing but good things about. Catching is right now. Me personally, I want to see Teal split it this year. You know, half the season in Portland, half the season in AAA. You know, and then next year split AAA, and then maybe an MLB debut. But we can't rush him. You know, because we all know what happens when we rush people. Look at Bobby Dahlbeck. So, but no, that's where I sit there and think with the catching tandem. You know, it's not the greatest, but the overall catching product, you know, when we look back at the catchers we've had, you know, Veritek for so many years, and then, you know, we had Vazzy. It's just now we're down to like the D level, you know, C level of catching ability. So next question is from Rob, you know, one of our good friends and Jut's good friends. Who is the one free agent on the market you guys think the Red Sox will realistically have a chance at signing? So let's start with you, Mikey. Who's and we know how your track record is so far. You want to Shohei, Yamamoto, Teoscar, you know, so.
Well, yeah, you pretty much heard who I thought. So I'd say any player that you guys or the fans like, I'm not even going to say their name, because if I say it, it's probably not going to happen, because that's what's happened with every free agent that has happened this offseason. You know, it's so hard to say, because you heard Montgomery would be a target of theirs much earlier, before this, you know, before the free agency started. Like you said, Ritt, a lot of teams are playing that waiting game, so perhaps that's what the Sox are doing now. I'd like to see them, you know, go after a decent starting pitcher like Montgomery. If you give me the truth serum, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but I'd like to see them go for Montgomery, and I'd like to see some more activity. And it makes me think, the Red Sox have the that winter. Did they have the winter weekend yet? They didn't do that yet, did they?
Nope. That's next weekend.
And one red flag about that is, did you guys hear how they canceled the like the public Q&A portion of it? So that gives me a little cause for concern, because you would think if their intentions of making a splash by going after someone that's still there, they'd at least want to get their face on the TV saying, "Oh yeah, you guys, you know, missed out on Shohei, but yeah, you got, you know, Snell and Montgomery or whoever," and they've already canceled that. They do not want they don't want to face any of the public. So it's like, is the Giolito 1 year like going to be the big splash of the off season? But you know, if I got to throw a dart at the dartboard, let's have him grab Montgomery.
Yeah. George, well, what are you sitting there thinking? Who's going to be the one realistic shot we have?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Boris represent both Snell and Montgomery? I mean, I know he represents Snell. I think he also represents Montgomery. I have to look that up. But
that's a bad sign.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm wondering if he's misread the market. I mean, especially after, you know, what happened with Shohei and Yamamoto. And he's got these guys hanging out, you know, and then a month, pitches and catches report, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as of right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sox signed Lorenzen and brought him in. And your rotation would be Bayo, Giolito, Lorenzen, Crawford, and Pivetta. Put Houck in the bullpen where he belongs. Is it a great rotation? No. Is it a better rotation than you started the spring with last year? Yes. and you're not having to go to the opener, you still have a guy like Houck in reserve who come in as a sixth starter, if you will. And let's keep Whitlock in the bullpen, especially near the end where he belongs. I mean, that's kind of where my head is at. They're not going to pony. I don't see them pony up the money to do that. I left Josh Winkowski off the list as well. So I mean, you've got 7 guys right there that you can interchange, and Lorenz not going to cost you a whole lot of money.
Okay.
And
I like how you're thinking outside the box there, George.
You know, one other guy I forgot to mention is Paxton. James Paxton still out there, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen. He'll be a cheap money guy that they'll actually take a flyer on.
Well, man. Well, Rob, the one free agent guy that I think we have a realistic chance of signing, and when we started the Pesky Party Hour 2 months ago, we did an off-season, transaction between Mike and Leslie and myself. And Mike brought up this guy, and I laughed at him pretty much. And I was like, no. And now it's down to us and the Blue Jays. So I'm thinking Mike convinced me. It's going to be Soler will be our most realistic signing. That would give us that right-handed bat. That also give us a little outfield, which then would free up some of our outfield to go trade to get a starting pitcher. So I think that might be the way to go. Have him bat fourth. Put Devers at third. Casas at 5. You're protecting everybody overall. It's just Soler looks like he would be great at Fenway, and he wants to play here. It seems he's got it down to us and the Blue Jays. So I think he might be one of the most realistic, ways to go. So Rob, we got 3 different answers overall. So hopefully that answered your question. Our next question, George, is from our good friend Ed Han. So I'm pretty sure Mikey and I cannot answer this question. If we can, George,
you got problems.
You got problems. So, George, Ed wants to know, where does George take the wife for a hot date?
Well, I privately messaged Ed on two places I like, but I'll definitely make those public. One is Angelina's in Algonquin, which is about a half mile from me. And when I'm down in Mass, it's Luciano's in Rentham, which is about a 7-minute drive to this Gillette Stadium from there. Both good Italian food places. Service is always great. Food is always great. So yeah, those are the 2.
George, I've got to ask now. You said Italian. How are the breadsticks? You can't go to an Italian place without some good breadsticks.
Yes. Give Luciano's a little bit of heads up on the bread, but it's either way you can't go wrong. The food and the service is always great, and I might be doing both of them in the next couple of weeks due to things working out. So,
see, it's a cheap plug. George, throw a promo out there for each of them. Try to get some sponsor money there.
Yeah, really. Probably Angelina's next weekend for my birthday, and next week, the following that for my mom, we're going to take her to Luciano's. So,
man, can't wait. I expect some pictures, and you can tag Ed and I in on Twitter.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna do whatever's coming on my plate. I will send to both of you, especially Ed. He's the one that wanted to know, so he found out. He actually knows about Angelina's.
So okay. Next question is from our good friend who helps us cover the Miami Marlins, Nick Diamond from Nick Diamond Media. He's asking which Red Sox pitcher who hasn't made his MLB debut yet will impact the big league club the most in 2024.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
George?
I think it's too soon to see Perales up here. Guys like Mata have made spot starts across, so he's already made his MLB debut. Really good question.
Do you think there's going to be somebody that does make their MLB debut this year? But like, if you would, it would have to be, somewhere in the bullpen. I would guess.
Winkleman Gonzalez, maybe. He's risen fast the last couple of years. If they're in trouble or they need to rush somebody, he may be that guy.
Okay. Mikey, what are you thinking? Who can make their debut?
That's such a tough one. It's not like we have this blue chipper in the minors where it's like, okay, are we going to see so and so? When's it going to be a debut for so and so? There's not one name that jumps out at all. I'm looking. I just went to the Woo Sox roster, and none of these pitching names. Going to Benitez, Boozer, Gambrel, German, Guerrero, Hageman, Mills, Nunez, Olivares, Politi, Shugart, but none of these guys. I mean, some of these guys may already have a little bit of MLB experience. Not one of those guys jumps out at me where I think, oh, this guy's gonna be up this year. So, we had that one when Bello was on the way up, but there is, your guess, anyone's guess is as good as mine, because and I think it'll most likely be something situational that happens with like an injury or some type of doubleheader situation where they need a spot starter, and then they dip into the bag there for a guy just for a stopgap. Maybe one of the guys on Worcester or George actually probably knows the Sea Dogs roster, inside and out. Maybe they go to Double-A for someone that's still maybe not ready, but they want to get someone for a start. But yeah, we really, that is one thing. We have some great prospects in our system with the shortstop, the catching positions. There's doesn't feel like there's anyone that we're anticipating. It's down the timeline that's going to be coming up like some of these other guys we have. So might as well just throw a dart at the board with all the names, and that's probably going to be just as good of a guess as any expert out there.
Okay, I've got three names, all bullpen pieces, and I can see them being called up in September if all of them have great seasons like they did. All three of them are on Portland as of right now. I see some of them starting for the Woo Sox. One is Bastardo. I can see him, coming up. Another guy is Richard Fitz, our man Dick Fitz, that we got in the trade with Verdugo. And a guy that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And I told him this to the space, that I will be seeing him when they play Scranton in AAA, and that he will be playing at Fenway before the end of the season. And that's CT. I honestly think CT, his work ethic, his the amount of time he puts in. He's already getting ready to ramp back up down in Florida right now, as we speak, and I can see him, coming in helping, possibly a double header, maybe some bullpen help that we might need, because who knows with Whitlock and Houck, if more Whitlock with the injury than Houck, but I can see one of those three making their MLB debut, and man, me personally, I would love to see CT, but just for them to sit there and announce Nick Fitz, I just want to hear that, over the intercom. So, Nick, I hope we answered your question. Next up, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna save Pac-Man's for last. We're going to go Zach's question. He hasn't heard many podcasts address the back of the end rotation to this point. Obviously, we're missing some key starting pitchers in the rotation. But last year, we had 7+ options to slot in and still ended up with some ridiculous starting pitchers. How is the team going to get through this season? So that is from Zach. George, do you want to sit there and start this one?
Sure. Okay, so, Bayo and Giolito, 1 and 2, Crawford at the 4 or 5, Pivetta somewhere in there. I think I love the guy Ritt. He's an innings eater, and he picked it up at the end, second half of the season when he learned how to go east-west with that sweeper. And Winkowski. I think Winkowski, they may, given what the situation is in the bullpen, I think they may try to put Winkowski back on starting role. They still need another starter, which is why I suggested Lorenzen on shorter money, or, like Mikey's idea, Paxton. They need that. After that, the strength of this team is in its bullpen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, we all know that AC loves to burn through it. So, and I'm hoping that guys like Giolito and Bayo and Pivetta can give them 6 to 7 innings, so that the other 2 days of the week, if AC's got to use the bullpen, he's not, throwing gasoline in the fire. But yeah, I think the back end is probably Pivetta, Crawford, and maybe Winkowski, if they don't sign somebody between now and spring training.
Okay. I'm going to break it down. Mikey, you can sit there and still collect some thoughts. I want to break it down like this, Zach. Last year, our opening day rotation was Corey Kluber. Corey motherfucking Kluber. Opening day starter. Okay?
Is he even in the league anymore?
No.
Yeah.
Last year we had 7 options. Well, or actually, we can't even call them options there, Zach. What we're going to do is we're going to say we had 7 guys with the tag and the label starting pitcher after their name. Because Corey fucking Kluber was not an option. Paxton, he started on the IL. Chris Sale was not an option. His health is not, or was not, good for us last year. Whitlock, Houck, they are not starting pitchers. They are bullpen pieces. Yeah. So that leaves me 4 of them out. We had Bayo. We had Winkowski. That was a starter. They put him in the bullpen. Now they're stretching him back out. So there was 6. And we have Cutter Crawford. Okay. I said last year, early on, Cutter Crawford was going to have the most wins on the team. And then we had Nick Pivetta, who they moved to the bullpen, and he earned a starting position this year. So there is 8 people, and half of them you can't call starting pitchers because their health. Corey Kluber just being Corey Kluber. Like Paxton, he didn't start a game till May, so he didn't have a full spring training. So I think this year is going to be different because the guys are going in healthy. They're going into spring training healthy. We've got guys that can eat innings. George said it the best. George said our bullpen's our strong point. If we can get to the 6th inning, 6 1/3, 6 2/3, God forbid if we can get to the 7th, that will help our bullpen out dramatically. We have one of the best bridges from the 6th inning on in all MLB. You know, Jansen, Martin, Winkowski, and my man Bernardino. Like, great right there. Boom, 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 boom. So if we can get innings from Giolito, if we can get innings from Bayo, because Bayo can only get better. If we can get innings from Pivetta, because Pivetta he ate some innings last year. That's 3 guys that can get us to the 6th. Cutter Crawford, you gotta take the training wheels off now. You know, give him his first full season as starting pitcher. Let's go. And then whoever we get, a trade, we could put Wink in there. I love Wink. Georgie, you must have been listening to the Pesky Party Hour because I thought Mike was going to sit there and flip when I sit there and brought up Winkowski as a starting pitcher, but he was all for it. So Zach, I hope I gave you a little inspiration to even think, comparing the two. 8 starting pitchers last year, 4 of them you can't count. So at least now we've got 4 starting pitchers that can eat innings, and one that's got to get the training wheels off. So, Mikey, what are your thoughts?
Well, before that, I want to ask you, how concerned are you guys with the rumor that Kenley might be traded? Because that would then throw a wrench into the whole get to that 6th inning. We got the lockdown setup guys and a lockdown closer. I did not like that. I've heard rumors that Kenley could be gone before the season, which would really be waving the white flag. Like, yeah, we're having another bridge year. I'm curious your thoughts on that, but yeah, the back end of the rotation, it's the fact that we, the home opener last year, we were starting a batting practice pitcher who was just, complete shell of his, former Cy Young self, and just, he was just serving up batting practice pitches to be hit over the wall. It's concerning after, I feel good about Bello and Giolito, and they've really flubbed, what they want, the best roles for some of these guys like Whitlock, bringing him in as a starter, and then it's, he got the injury. Now I'm blanking on some of the other names. Crawford has shown
Houck, Pivetta.
Yeah, Houck, that's right. Yeah, there's so many question marks on a lot of these guys. Like Houck, how is he had such that scary moment with the ball to the face. Like, is he ever? At his best, he had some good outings, but is he ever? How severe is that going to affect the rest of his career? You saw like the guy, Bryce. Was it Bryce Flory?
Yes.
I think,
Oh God, that was awful.
That just was, it ruined it. Tony G. It killed. Things like that can kill careers. So there's so many question marks at the back of this rotation. Which makes me feel like that the Red Sox solution is going to be sign a bunch of, bargain basement guys that, are either coming off major injuries or are looking to just get a 1-year deal to maybe increase their value. I think Paxton is, they'll probably bring back Paxton and have just a cluster of maybe like, 5 to 7 guys that they think can earn the spot, and then they might stash a few guys in the minors. But this back end to me it's a big unknown, and it's a big it's a big cause for concern after your top 2 guys.
Yeah, I think last year the biggest overall, my happiest moment last year was a tie for 2 when Trevor Story came off the IL and made that first throw to first base, and it made it to Casas. that was one of my happiest moments. And number 2 was when Corey Kluber went on the IL because he his pride was hurt. Like that was the greatest moment. And then they shut him down for the rest of the season. That was you couldn't sit there and have, like, I felt like it was home run derby some nights. With him out there pitching. Yeah. And I don't want to sit there and bash the guy, but he has to know when it's time to go. And when he was in his earlier career, he was great. Down in Tampa, early on a little bit in Cleveland, great pitcher. But when you lose your mechanics,
he's a candidate to go to Japan right now. He really is. Rediscover himself over there and come back.
Speaking of Japan, how would you guys feel if we got, or do you think we'd even consider Trevor Bauer?
No.
Really?
No.
I think Breslow would consider him.
Yeah.
But I do not, in a million years, think Red Sox Nation would let that. Like, that would probably the biggest FU, Red Sox Nation. You want someone? We're signing Trevor Bauer for you. Like, that's 110%. Like, you want a starting pitcher? Okay, you got Trevor Bauer, and he's coming to winter weekend.
There's a short. Oh my God! Can you see that? Oh my! But I can't. There's got to be no more than 2 or 3 teams that would take that risk of signing him.
The Pirates aren't even going to. The A's won't even sign that guy.
Right.
Like, you have to look at a minor league deal, and you have to earn it. But his reputation already, even before all the other stuff happened, just his hot-headedness, throwing a ball out in the center field, like, that's not a major league player. But then flashes of David Ortiz with that baseball bat, taking it out on the dugout phone, but at least he did it in a controlled environment of the dugout, But I don't, Mikey. I don't see that happening at all. Like, for that, that would not be a good.
It's a sad state that I have come to. Can we get anyone with talent? Do we have to look at a guy like Bauer? Like, it's pretty sad that we've come to this point where starved fans of the Sox, these last place finishes, has fans like me considering things like that. It kind of. I mean, I know you're positive, and I'm curious, Ritt. I'd like to have that take again on your show, on the show here, about why you were feeling positive about this offseason. It feels like we're just not trying to compete with the remember back in the day when they'd sign Manny and get the big boys, like, and now we're fans like me are entertaining the possibility of bringing in talented but majorly either flawed or controversial guys just because you feel like that's the only way we can get someone with some real talent. So it's maybe I need your positive outlook, Ritt, because as I think of it now, I'm feeling a little down on this team.
Well, Mikey, I'm gonna sit there and start it like this, okay? And DC's the one that says it the best. And George, you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah.
Guys your age, and please don't take this the wrong way, are spoiled little brats when it comes to Boston sports. Like guys like George and myself and DC, we lived through the 90s of Boston Red Sox baseball. You know, you guys, we got, and people say, well, you can't live in the past. We have gotten 4 World Series, the most in, this decade. This after 2000. So,
good point.
The Patriots, look at them. But they've had a bad season. And I seen that stat since like 97. This is the first playoff where Brady or Peyton Manning are not in the playoffs.
Wow.
Since 97. That's crazy. I was in high school, George. You was in your 3rd year of college, weren't you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, I mean that's a bizarre stat. I mean, it shows you the longevity of both players and the privilege it was to watch 2 extremely great competitors go at it. And unfortunately Peyton's career got cut a little short by injury. But yeah, when those 2 went at it, I mean, especially in the early 2000s, with the Colts and the Patriots going at it, you knew it was going to be a shootout, and Bill would somehow get into Manning's head, and at least in the beginning, until Manning started to figure out a little bit. But yeah, we were privileged to watch an extremely great quarterback play.
But yeah, that's what DC always says, how the privileged younger generation is, and they couldn't sit there and live through the 2003 playoffs. How about it, George? Could you imagine if there was social media then, when we played the A's? Like that, it was horrible. Carl Crawford, our great savior, Pablo Sandoval. Oh,
before him, Kyle Everett.
Renteria.
Yeah, like we sit there and we're privileged to see all these, but I will give you hope with my answer to the last question that belongs to Pac-Man. And what will the final roster look like for the 2024 season? Okay, I asked him as of now or with additions. So he goes predictions, with or without additions. So I will sit there and start this off and let you guys go. I will go without no additions. Okay. So this is where I'm not going to predict that we have anybody, just going off of what we have on the roster right now. And this is where I'm going to give you some hope there, Mikey.
Please do.
So with the starting pitchers, we're going to have Bayo, Giolito, Winkowski, Pivetta, Cutter Crawford. None of their starting pitchers, have any injuries at all, like as of now. So they're able. 3 of them are able to eat innings. Bayo will go to the next level this year. Cutter Crawford will get the training wheels taken off, and I think Winkowski is going to do a lot better this year in a starter role if we don't get or trade or sign anybody. And he's going to sit there and win at least 10, 11 games. Hauk, with his 2 pitches he has, because no starting pitcher can work off of 2 pitches. Like I couldn't think of one successful starting pitcher that does not have a 3rd pitch. Hauk and Whitlock will both be okay in the bullpen. We have Bernardino. Our bridge from Bernardino to the 7th Martin to the 8th, Jensen to the 9th. You know, that possibly could be the best bridge in baseball. You know, it's definitely the best bridge we got in the American League East. So that takes care of the pitching side, Mikey.
Is the Whitlock starting pitching experiment over? Have they said they're not going to keep him in the or bring him back to starter?
They haven't said anything yet. But like they said that him and Houck are both classified as starting pitchers.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to give you life. I'm trying to give you positive.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Batting, we got Jarren Duran leading off. I'm saying Trevor Story will bat second. We have Devers batting third, Casas fourth, Paul O'Neill fifth. Yeah, well, we've got the Smash Brothers now in our outfielders. These guys are jacked. We got Yoshida. Will be playing DH more, enjoying the rest. He's going to have more stamina then to go the longevity of the 162. I sit there and think in myself, Valdez will be our starting second baseman, because a lot of people are just thinking Vaughn Grissom is just going to earn it. It's just going to be having, be the second baseman. I think Valdez will definitely get that second base job over Grissom. I see Grissom starting out in AAA at the beginning of the year. And he'll be there with Reyes. The catching, we already talked to that, is as good as it's going to get. So now that's what we can control for our lineup. But look at the division, okay? Baltimore's finished first. Only thing they've really done this offseason is sign Kimbrel. You're not going to continue to be at that level without signing another one or two people. Trading for one or two people. Toronto, they're on their decline right now, in my opinion. So that puts the Yankees there. And the Yankees, they just went and got Stroman.
They did.
Who at Yankee Stadium, his career is a 6.08 ERA. So you better sit there and figure out how you're going to pitch him on all the road games, because he's going to get rocked at that stadium.
I'd like to be Aaron Boone with him in the clubhouse with Verdugo.
Oh, I think that's why Alex Cora sit there and gave him a smirk. When they were on a FaceTime call, he knew what was coming up. So and Toronto, I think not Toronto, Tampa. I think Tampa's time's come to where they got to be close to their bag of chicks, being empty. So I predicted. This is what I predicted so far in the last couple episodes. Winkowski's going to prove he's a starter. Devers is going to have a true MVP season. And the Red Sox are going to finish third in their division. So.
Will that be good enough for one of the wild cards?
It should be.
Yeah.
So.
I would take that.
So Mikey, just enjoy what I said.
Yeah.
And George, we're going to let you lead off on what will the final roster look like in 2024.
I think that Grissom stays. I think your utility guy is Reyes. They need a right-handed bat. And I would not be upset if they brought back Adam Duvall or Mr. Robson Durden himself. I think that they need right-handed power, and they also need a solution for first and third to give Casas and Devers a day off, and they don't currently have that as currently constructed. I think they do make a pitching, some kind of pitching acquisition. I would think by trade, but the free agent, as I said, Lorenzen wouldn't surprise me. He's low enough price that I think that makes a deal. Mikey, you asked about Jansen earlier. If they trade Jansen as part of a deal to get a pitcher or to an unknown right-handed bat, say, right? Between Martin, Houck, and Whitlock, either one of them can be a closer. As a matter of fact, Martin's done it for us. When Jansen wasn't available, AC put Martin out there and said, "Hey, go close, big boy," and he did. He's just got ice water running through his veins. I don't think he cares whether he pitches the 8th or the 9th. He's just going to go out there and do his thing. He's not the prototypical closer by any means, but he can certainly do both. And we've already seen that Whitlock has the capability of doing it as well. Last year, they decided to make him a starting pitcher. I think that's a fatal mistake. But, I think that, and because of Houck's limitation of only having 2 really good pitches, that's what makes him such a weapon out of the bullpen. So, yeah. They still have a couple more pieces, a pitcher and a right-handed bat. But, yeah, I think their bullpen's fine. And we talked about the guys in the rotation before. But, yeah, they need a right-handed bat, and they need it now after a pitcher. Bats are easy to find, okay? Everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're getting a bat now. We get a bat. No, pitching is hard to find. And this class of free agent pitchers is not the greatest. It really isn't. You've got no real blue chippers here. You want to take Madison, Bob, what's his name? Clayton Kershaw? Not at this stage of his career.
Is he still a free agent?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I think he signed. To my knowledge, he hasn't. But, this isn't great. Yamamoto's gone and Shohei's gone. And Shohei couldn't pitch this year anyway.
Yeah.
You'd be better off going out and signing Brandon Woodruff to a James Paxton deal, knowing that you're going to get him in 25, maybe the end of 24, but you're certainly going to get him in 25. That would not be an insane thing to do either, because he's looking to come back, and he's coming off of Tommy John, so why not?
Yeah,
and I do see them as Ritt and I both agree. I think they're 3rd place in the AL East. Because currently constructed, I have them somewhere between 85 and 88 wins. Because I think that pitching is better because you don't have Corey Kluber going out there serving up gopher balls. And you have a bullpen that's now got some swagger behind it. And you got Trevor Story, hopefully healthy for an entire year to, kind of cement down the poor defense in the infield. And you got some youth running around that can hit and that can fly around the base paths. Different look team.
Yeah. So Mikey, what is your 2024 final roster look like?
It's very similar to what George said. I think, and I don't know if it's just because he was part of the Chris Sale deal. I think Grissom does start the season up here, just so they can, kind of show, oh, this is the guy we got for Sale. And they definitely do need another right-hand bat. I think a familiar name that they may actually end up signing would be a guy like Justin Turner. I think they bring him back. He was such a good fit here last year, and he can, he can spell Casas at first, do some DHing. They need a good veteran presence like him. So I think he does end up back on the roster. I think they're going to sign. I think, a guy like Paxton comes to mind. They add to the rotation. And and we talked about it, Josh, the other day. You said this upcoming spring training is going to be one of the most entertaining ones we've had in a long time. And that is because of the competition at so many positions. Mm-hmm. And, I thought about that, and I definitely agree with that. It is going to be interesting to see what the final roster does look like, because there are a lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns, and still that Breslow is, definitely still got something up his sleeve. But those are the Turner and the Grissom being on the roster. Those would be probably two of my predictions of what's to come still. And camp, the camp will tell us a lot. It'll be nice to see some competition down there, and let's see who earns it.
Yeah, I would love Turner to come back. If Turner doesn't come back on this team, I was talking about it on the Pesky Party Hour. Our backup third and first baseman on the bench, we're going to be seeing Bobby Dahlbeck come back up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why spend money when you can bring someone else up that you're already paying. So that's just what my opinion is with that. So, but guys, that's all the questions. There was some great questions that you guys asked us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we answered your question. Zach, I hope I really got it into your head that this is a different starting pitching group than last year that we had, because man, I actually feel a little bit better this year than I did last year. So, but guys, make sure you sit there and head on over to our YouTube channel. It's at BSEN617. Hit the subscription. Check out all of our podcasts we have over there. Dynasty Proud, Kings of Causeway, Foxborough Fellas Podcast, where you might see George over there every now and then. Make sure you hit the QR code up top. It's not only our store now, but it's also our website. You got the links to all of our articles that our writers write, like George. He has Sunday thoughts almost every Sunday, and emergency one every now and then. And check out the merch. I know Mikey loves the merchandise over there. Him and the missus were sitting there and ordered plenty of stuff. George has ordered plenty of stuff from us. Christmas gifts galore for everybody. So we do got 2 or 3 new items available. We've got the Slater captain shirt for his last game. We've got one that Leslie has designed for the Bruins fans. It's Puck Around and Find Out. 1924 is the centennial this year. So guys, and then don't forget our other Patriot, Tanks for the Memories, Bill. Shirt, because as we know, Bill Belichick is no longer with. As you see, I was thinking of a better team, the Giants. Is no longer with the Patriots anymore. So, but guys,
that's Slate one too. That you can't forget that Slater one you got there.
Oh yeah, the captain.
The captain. Yeah.
So, but guys, sit there and check us out tomorrow night at 6 p.m. where we're going to be talking the BSEN Roundtable. We're going to have everybody from the podcast on. Just go back and we're going to be bringing you the Celtics news, the Bruins news, the Patriots news, Red Sox news, and we're going to be answering your questions. So for OG George, for Mr. Mikey Two Gunz, the hottest free agent on the market, and myself, check you out next time on the Pesky Podcast.